In this video, I'm going to explain just why I bought these Vortex Vanquish 10x26 binoculars for an upcoming camping trip that I'm planning with my family. And then, after testing them, why I now think they are one of the best binoculars you can buy for hiking for under $100. And we're going to start right now. Hello and welcome to Best Binocular Reviews. My name is Jason. In terms of binoculars, and because of what I do, I guess I'm in the rather fortunate position in that I almost never need to go out and spend my hard-earned cash on a pair of binoculars. And this sort of got me thinking, would I actually change anything if I did have to spend my own money? This thought coincided with a camping and hiking holiday that I was busy planning with my family. And as always, an important decision that I have to make is which pair of binoculars I'm going to take along with me. Now, ordinarily, I would just take a pair that's come in for review, and I would use my holiday as a test for the binocular and then use that when I write the review. However, this time I decided to go out and spend my own money and buy my own pair of binoculars. And so in this video, the idea is I just want to go through the thought processes that I have and ultimately why I came to the decision to buy these Vortex Vanquish 10x26 binoculars and why I do believe they are a really great pair of binoculars and definitely one of the best hiking binoculars that you can buy for under $100. Before we get started, I want to make it clear that as with all my reviews and articles on BBR, I am completely independent and I have in no way been compensated for, nor do I represent Vortex Optics in any single way. And the same goes for all the other brands featured on my site and videos. We will be driving to our campsite, and so I could easily transport any size of binocular I want. However, it made sense for me to choose a compact over a larger sized alternative, as during the day we would be leaving our camping base and going out hiking. Now, if I was just walking and not carrying any other gear, I may have opted for a mid-sized or even a full-size binocular instead. But as I would be carrying my camera as well as a backpack, a compact binocular was definitely the right choice for me. Note that unless you specifically need a good low light performance, I would say that a compact would probably also be the right choice for most hikers and backpackers. I wanted to get a reasonable level of performance, so very cheap binoculars would not be considered. But at the same time, I also knew that I didn't want very expensive binoculars that would make me too precious about having them laying about the campsite and always worrying about their whereabouts. So keeping in mind that I wanted to avoid having to spend my entire holiday budget on my optics, I settled on a maximum budget of around $100. In a way, I also chose this under $100 budget as a kind of challenge to myself, as I know at this level there's a lot of rubbish about. But if you are prepared to put in some work and do the research, you can unearth some real gems, which in my opinion makes the final purchase even more satisfying. So now I had chosen the size of binocular I needed and my budget, my next decision was to get a little bit more specific in regards to the type and design. When money is not a major concern, I believe that the best compact binoculars, in terms of their all-round function, are ones that have the double hinge design, as they can fold up into a very small shape, and thus this makes them a true pocket-sized binocular. However, to create a binocular with this twin hinge design, it needs to use the more compact roof prisms inside them to rectify the inverted image. Whilst these prisms are great in many ways, and indeed most modern binoculars now use them, the problem they have is if you want them to offer the same level of performance as a Porro prism, they require a number of expensive coatings added to them, which at the budget price levels I was looking at is simply not possible. Therefore, in general, and especially the case with compacts where the smaller lenses are also a limiting factor, if you want good quality optical performance with bright, high quality views at the low cost and especially the cheap end of the market, a Porro Prism binocular is most often the better option. So, by opting for this design, I did have to accept that while still small, my binocular was not going to be quite as compact as an equivalent roof prism model, especially when folded up and not in use. I was happy with my choice, as for me it was important to get the best optical performance I could from a low-cost compact, and so whilst it would have been nice, I did not necessarily need to have a true pocket-sized binocular. However, having said that, if my maximum budget was higher, I would have certainly looked for twin-hinge roof prism compacts to include on my shortlist. If you're unsure of the differences between a Porro prism and a roof prism binocular, I've added a link down in the description below that'll take you through to a page on the BPR website that'll explain everything. Speaking of which, if at any time I mention a feature or a technical term or just something that you don't understand, feel free to fire off a question in the comment section and I will get back to you. 6x21, 7x28, 8x25, 9x28, 10x26, 12x25. Compacts come in a wide range of configurations. So my next decision, and the final one before looking at specific models, was to choose which magnification and size of lenses to go for. If you're uncertain as to what these numbers on a binocular actually mean, I've already created a video that goes over it in great detail, and I'll post a link either somewhere up there above or down in the description below. Here, I just needed to have an overall idea of what I was looking for and not be too specific, as I wanted to give myself a good range of options when it came to choosing the actual binocular. To start with, I decided against the extremes, be that with the very high and low magnifications and with the sizes of lenses, as these types of binoculars tend to work best for only a few very small niches, and I was looking for a good all-rounder that I could use for general wildlife and birding observation, as well as getting a better view of the terrain in front of us. Here, common and usually the ideal choice for a general use compact would be to have an 8 times or possibly a 10 times power with a 25 or 26mm lens. So whilst most models come with both 8 and 10 times options, I eventually chose the 10 times power, as I know that we will be hiking in wide open terrain in the hills, where I just want that little bit more reach. I also know that I'll mostly be using my binoculars during the day and in good light, and thus the smaller exit pupil and the resultant drop in low light performance that you get with a higher powered binocular is not going to be an issue for me. Note, if I knew that I was going to be hiking in a thickly forested area where light levels are not ideal and where the observation distances tend to be lower, or if I was going to be hiking before dawn or after dark, I would have opted for an 8 times compact instead. This is where having a basic understanding of the kinds of places and times you will mostly be using your binoculars is important. If in doubt, my advice here is to go with the 8 times option, as they generally tend to suit a wider range of uses. So there you have it. I now knew I was looking for a Porro Prism compact with a 10 times magnification and with roughly 25 or 26mm lenses. On sale for under $100 or pounds, but also definitely more than about $60 or pounds. So what I did next was to perform a couple of searches on a few of my favorite online binocular retailers. Once again, I'll include the links to these searches in the description below. Note, whilst you can still buy from them, and definitely do use them for the final price comparisons, my advice here is not to use Amazon for this type of research, as their internal search engine is pretty rubbish and almost always brings back all sorts of irrelevant results, which is not only annoying, but is distracting and I find just wastes my time. After filtering the results to take my budget and all other requirements into account, the Vortex Vanquish 10x26 binoculars kept on jumping out to me. In fact, even Amazon returned them in my searches. Whilst they have a recommended price of $129.99, they currently retail for around $99 or £96, and thus were perfect in terms of my budget. I also knew that Vortex has a really good reputation for producing great value for money binoculars, and even though many others do as well, I was drawn to them because I've had very good experiences with their products, especially in terms of their optical performance in the past. So after looking very closely at their main features, specifications, and then comparing them against a few others on my shortlist, I decided to take the plunge and buy them. As you can see, they have arrived, and whilst I have not yet gone on my hiking holiday, that's next month, I have already used and fully tested them, and on the whole, I'm very pleased with my choice, and I'm looking forward to using them more on holiday and hope to provide you with an update on my return. But until then, be sure to read my full, in-depth, hands-on and 100% honest review of these Vortex binoculars that also includes comparisons to the other similar binoculars that I considered. You'll find the link in the description below. So there you have it. There's how and why I ended up with these Vortex Vanquish binoculars for my next camping and hiking trip. I do hope that these insights have been of interest to you, and that you can use the process the next time you need to go out and buy yourself a pair of binoculars. If this video has been of interest and indeed of use to you, I would really appreciate if you could like, share, and subscribe. This is something that helps both myself and my channel, and it's something that I really do appreciate. Also, if you can remember, just hit that little bell button on the side, just so that you'll be notified as soon as my next video becomes available. So once again, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Cheers for now.